on, folks? It's your man JQ right here on Geeked Out on DevTown Radio. This is Chandler.
Yo.
And this is Chandler.
Yo. Double yo.
Free is once again out again because he is out in California doing gigs at his side hustle as a DJ. So he's not.
Free's gigging it.
Free's gigging it. But unfortunately, as you can see, Megan's not here, and our hearts go out to her because she lost her dog last night. So
Megan had to make the ultimate decision, and it was, we've all gone through this. As a matter of fact, Quince and I were just talking about it. We started crying, so we had to pull ourselves back in, dry out our eyes before we start rolling the camera.
Yeah, both Chandler and I are both dog owners or dog dads. So
Yep.
So we know the pain that
absolutely, Megan. We understand. We've been there. We've walked in your shoes. We love you, and just remember. He knows, he understands, he loves you, and he understands the decision you made. So
it's actually she.
My apologies.
Sorry, she. Bailey, we love you.
Yep.
So, anyways, with that being said, let's kind of today's show's gonna be kind of cool.
Let's turn this to positive now. Hey, yeah.
So this week, we've been kind of talking about this coming up. Con season has been upon us for a while.
Con season's in full friggin' force.
So we got cons, like for example, this weekend alone is the amazing Las Vegas Comic Con that's coming up. What else we got?
I'm going to be in Washington for the Washington State Summer Con, which has an unbelievable lineup, and we'll go through that in a little bit. Over on the East Coast, you have the Heroes Con taking place in North Carolina. So you have three major cons going on the same weekend, and then in 2 weeks there's a con that we're going to be at in Texas, and then of course you got what's called the granddaddy of them all. You have San Diego coming up next month, almost 1 month away.
Almost 1 month away. Like a month and a week or something.
So
like that.
yeah, and it's people. Everything's getting ramped up for that. The industry is getting ready for San Diego and all the other stuff going on. So if you're a comic fan, if you're a con fan, if you're a cosplay fan, man, this is prime time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's so much. I mean, can you imagine what these people spend as fans if they really love going to these cons? Like how much they spend just in travel, hotel, all the stuff that they're buying at these cons. Like,
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So I'm part of these Facebook groups and showing like what people pick up the cons for, like from artists, right? Commission stuff. And these people are dropping like 5,000 here, 10,000 here, like just for an 11 by 17.
Well, I know. Give you an example. A couple of years ago at Great American Con, we had Bob Layton there, and it was so funny because Bob came into that show. Basically came in to enjoy Las Vegas. As he said, he had planned on going out, partying at night, having a good time, living the Vegas life for the weekend, the whole bit. And lo and behold, what ended up happening, and basically the conversation went something like this. I walked up to Bob and I asked him how he was doing. This was a couple hours after the show had opened up. And he's like, dude, this is insane. And I'm going, Bob, what's wrong? I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get my butt chewed out by Bob Layton. He's going, my sketch list is filled. The show's been open not even 4 hours. My sketch list is filled. And I looked at him, I said, Bob, is that a bad thing? He goes, well, no, but that means I'm going to be doing a lot of drawing. And I'm going, is that a bad thing, Bob? He goes, well, I planned on going out and having a good time and and partying on the town. I'm going to have to be drawing all night. And I'm going, but you're making money, right? He goes, yeah, but I thought this was going to be an easy show. And the end result was Bob ended up selling he ended up selling a cover.
Oh wow!
From his collection, and so he walked out of that show making some good money. That cover by itself was like $3,500, $4,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, cons have become big business, not just for the promoter but also for the creator. creators have the ability to generate some good money at shows. I mean, Artist Alley, just guys who maybe have not quite broken into the big time yet, but they're still very talented artists. And you sit there and you'll be sitting there just drawing all day long. People will come up and they'll throw down 100, 200, 300, 400 bucks because they see the stuff that you're doing, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, especially for me, right? So my first, because I'm originally from the Bay Area, my first con in the Bay Area was Silicon Valley Comic Con. And oh my God, that was probably the most I've made money, because everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're a local."
You're a local,
and then they're like just dropping money left and right, and I'm running out of inventory. I'm running out of
running out of paper,
running out of paper. Holy cow! This is crazy. So I could totally imagine. But
I know that I've run across creators who have sat there and they would come running over to us, because it would be like Sunday morning. They'd come running over to us and go, "Do you by chance have any paper? I've run out of paper and I don't know where to find paper." You would see, you have these supply companies that actually will have a booth at a show. And by Sunday afternoon, you run over there and it's like they are out of stock of certain things. Because all their stuff is getting bought up. And
San Diego always has Blick. I know Blick's always out there.
Yeah.
And they always, I'm sure by Sunday, they're just like, "Sorry, we don't have it."
Yeah, really. Gone. Sorry, we're out of stock, So, yeah, like I said, cons have become big business.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where it can become overwhelming at times. I mean, you have some creators, they'll do 3, 4, 5 shows a year. You have other creators, and we're talking about published guys.
Yeah.
Okay. You have other creators that they're going to do 10, 12, 15 shows a year, which is a lot. You're talking about at least one a month. And then you have some guys, a few, who, and I guess someone who falls in this category would be someone like Neil Adams, who, strangely enough, he's been known to do 2 or 3 cons in a month.
Yeah.
And then you have the guys who are still trying to get themselves established or recognized, and basically they've got to do as many shows as they can just to keep themselves out there in front of it, because you have the publishers, what they're doing is they're scouring, they're walking all through Artist Alley looking for that new talent.
Yeah.
They're looking for that new undiscovered talent.
It always makes me wonder, because I know that there's always portfolio reviews and stuff like that, but what percentage is portfolio reviews where they actually grab the talent, or what percentage of that is just them just walking down the aisle and seeing?
I couldn't give you a percentage, but I do know that there have been many times where I've seen editors and stuff walking the aisles, and I know who they are, and it's kind of like, "Oh, how you doing?" "Hey, I'm doing great." Blah blah blah. We talk about a project they're working on or whatever, and then it's like, what you looking for? Just seeing what's out here.
Yeah.
Just seeing what's out here, and it's neat when you sit there and you run across. I'm starting, knock on wood, to work with a couple of the new international guys. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, just got through booking one into a show coming up. He's coming in from Italy.
Okay.
And he's a very, very talented painter. A lot of these European.
What's his name?
Lucio Perello.
Okay.
And a lot of these guys, not only are they talented artists, but then their art also translates where they do, they're doing their cover work and stuff with paintings, and it's like, wow, because now you're talking about a whole nother format, or a whole nother, I guess what you call medium, versus pencil and paper, or, and I would imagine, I don't know what the process is with them, but I would think that they would probably do a rough sketch on paper, and then they would start doing it on canvas. But, I do hear about stories about how these original canvases get sold, which they are the original, basically they're the original artwork. Yep. So it's like, holy Toledo, $10 grand.
Yeah, well, I believe it. I mean, speaking on, you're talking about international, I think if there are a couple countries that have been producing a lot of great talent, it's Italy and it's the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Philippines have been a hotbed for,
since the 70s.
I want to say at least the last 30, 40 years at least. I mean, you have people like Willis Patosio coming out of the Philippines, and Willis even had, I believe, from what I understand, he has a studio over there now.
Yep.
You know, Willis obviously made it. He made it big with Marvel, and he was working with. He was part of that group that broke off and created Image. But you know, you had Willis, you had Rob Liefeld, you had Mark Silvestri, you had Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee. And, you know, Will's basically, you know, made a name for himself. And he now is what I think is really cool, is to a certain degree giving back, because he's created a studio over there to help develop new artists and new talent.
Yeah, to some degree, I would also include Japan and China. But I think they've already established their own kind of niche, like with manga, right? Manga's like, that's big over there. So like, it's almost like their own entity as opposed to...
I'm going to be real curious about China, because China is I think China is a new territory for everyone. Japan, you're right. You've had manga coming out of Japan for a while. And part of it is also, you look at the government and everything being a democratic government. China, being it's a communist country, you know, to a certain degree, it's almost like they kind of had a wall, excuse the expression, they had a wall all the way around China, kind of keeping it confined. And I think especially with the movies, with the influence of the movies, that has really, I can't see how that wouldn't spark even more interest especially of the kids, to want to express their talents. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next 5-10 years what comes out of China and places like that.
Korea too. Korea too is another one that's been producing a lot.
I was going to say Korea, and maybe, and even Russia. You know,
I haven't seen any Russian artists, or I can just.
But here again, I think what's going to happen is with what you've seen with movies and stuff like that, you're going to see more of an influence going over there and having an impact. I mean, let's face it, comic books are as American as it gets. You know, comic books are an American art, they're an American heritage. And you know, when you have certain countries that are or were anti-American, you didn't see a lot of that over there. You know, as an example, I remember back when I was in college, and actually at one point there was a talk of us, a group of us going over to Russia, being invited as, you know, this is back when I was wrestling, and basically a group of us wrestlers that were invited to go over to Russia. And I remember someone was telling me, if you go over there, fill your suitcase full of blue jeans. Because American blue jeans were like gold. Yeah. They were like gold over there.
I remember hearing that. So.
You know, so anyway, you know, it's interesting, you know, and not only that, but also look at conventions. You've had the convention scene started to grow and grow and grow. It's already been, convention scene has been around Europe for many years now, but now you're starting to see more conventions pop up in like the Middle East. You're seeing more conventions pop up in Brazil,
South America,
yeah, absolutely. You know, there's the Shanghai Comic-Con that takes place in Shanghai, and what's happened is you've had American companies that have gone over and they have co-opted with Chinese companies or Asian companies, for that matter, to create these shows. And so again, you're seeing more and more influence coming up all around the world.
Didn't the Middle East just have their first Comic-Con recently, or was it like one of their something like that?
No, there's one that takes place in Dubai. There's one that takes place in Kuwait. The one in Dubai, I want to say, has been around at least 5, 6, 7 years, because at one point there was actually discussions of us possibly going over to Dubai with Stan, back when we were with Stan, and something happened where it didn't happen. I think it was a conflict with dates of another show or something.
Oh, gotcha.
But no, the Dubai show has been if I remember correctly, it's been around for at least 5, 6, 7 years. As a matter of fact, I remember talking to someone who had been to it one year, and they said it was so weird because they remember going out to the marketplace that was outside of the convention center, and they ran across this one cart, vendor cart, if you want to call it, that had, ready for this, bars of gold for sale.
Dubai, right?
Stacked up bars of gold. Now we're talking the small bars.
Yeah.
But still, you're sitting there walking along the street and you find this vendor cart that has these stacks of bars of gold.
Yeah.
It's like, holy Toledo.
See, I've seen out of Dubai, they have an ATM for gold.
Really?
So you put your card and say, oh, I just want $10,000 worth of gold.
Wow. That's amazing.
Honestly, I don't know too much about the history of Dubai, but all I know from them is that that's a rich, rich country.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like the cops. The cops have Lamborghinis, right? Like that's their police car.
Is that what they like? I wouldn't be surprised.
I've seen it. Like I was watching an episode of Top Gear, and they're showing all the police cars. There's a Ferrari. There's a Lamborghini. There's a Mercedes GT. There's like what are you guys doing? Like, this is crazy. So
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
So anyways, so yeah, I mean, like I said, today is con day. We're going to be talking about a lot of con stuff. So when we get back, our top 3 topics of the day, we're going to be talking about cons. Stick around. We are back, folks, and this is our top 3 topics of the day.
Now, top 3 topics of the day.
Pull this out of here. All right. Topic numero uno. All right. Summer cons are on the way. What's in your summer con survival pack? What advice do you have for newbie con goers to survive their first con? All right, since you've been around the block many times more than I have.
A few times, yes. Okay, a couple things to tell people about cons. 1, food is terrible and grossly expensive. So while they normally don't allow outside food in, what you can do is you can bring in snacks and stuff. Bring in a
Granola
bag
bars,
of beef jerky. Bring in some protein bars with you. If you are going to bring water in, make sure that it's some type of special water, because just to bring in a bottle of Aquafina, nope, because they sell bottled water there. But if you say, I need an electrolyte enhanced water, it's a little harder for them to argue with you about that, because they're not going to really challenge you on health issues. But if you just come in with regular bottled water, hey, that's what the water fountain is for, or that's what the concession stand is. So, you want to have proteins, you want to have carbohydrates, you need to keep, very important, keep yourself hydrated, because it is amazing with all the walking around you do, how quickly you can dehydrate yourself.
Speaking of walking, get good shoes.
That was going to be my next thing. Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. Make sure you have a really good pair of shoes, because you're walking on concrete. You're walking on concrete, and it takes its wear and tear on you. So, I mean, those are probably the biggest things. Buy your tickets early.
Yep.
That way you save money on getting your tickets to get into this show. And, there's different things that you can get, different little perks you can get that it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to get sketches and stuff, and if the show puts out what's called like a fast pass or a VIP that has what they call fast pass capability, meaning it gets you in the show early, get it. Reason for it is because it's going to allow you to get in front of those creators before the bulk of the crowd. And there's a huge difference when you're on that sketch list as number 1, 2, 3 versus number 21, 22, 23. Your sketch is going to get done. If you're down at the bottom, there's always a chance that the creator will run out of time and won't have a chance to get to your sketch. In that case, now it's either you get your money back, or the creator is going to do the sketch at home, and now you have to deal with the logistics of getting the sketch shipped to you and the whole bit. So if you are big into getting sketches, go ahead and pay the expense of getting that fast pass or VIP pass to get in early, because you will find it will make your life a lot easier.
Game plan was basically what he says. Game plan, because if you walk in there without a plan, it's gonna be like a chicken with his head cut off, basically.
Well, yeah, you're gonna walk in and go,
like,
what the heck?
Do I go here first? Do I go there first? Because I mean, if you think about it, most cons are pretty much set up the same way. There's an artist alley.
Mm-hmm.
There is the celebrity, signings.
Yep.
Or VIP signings, and then you have the vendors, like the regular vendors that are just scattered throughout. So if you know exactly who you're going for, plan around that, right? So I mean, don't get distracted with everything else. But again, like I said, most of these cons are pretty much set up the same way. So
you'll have vendors who'll be selling exclusives. You'll want to hit them first. Make sure they don't run out. For the vendors that you plan on visiting that aren't selling exclusives, you can wait till towards the end of the show, because that's when you might be able to get a little better deal on something.
Yeah, because
unless there's a specific book you're looking at, there's a really nice copy of New Mutants 98 or Journey into Mystery 83 or whatever, and it's like, wow, that is a sweet copy and it's priced right. You might want to grab that because it can go quickly.
Yeah, they're just trying to offload. By Sunday, they're trying to offload stuff. So.
Yeah, exactly. Sunday is wheeling and dealing time.
Yeah.
So because they're trying to go home with as little product as they can. When dealing with creators or celebrities, when it comes to signatures, the one thing I will say that absolutely you have to be respectful. Be respectful of their time. Be respectful of what's going on with them. Please don't walk up to them and say, "Oh, can you do this instead?" No, it's not fair to go up to a creator and say, can you give me a free this or a free that?
Who does that?
A lot of people.
What?
Yeah, it's simple. What you do is you walk up and you say, "I'd like to get an autograph. Is there a fee?" And if you plan on getting the comic book graded, make sure you let the creator know. And here's the biggest information you could have. If you plan on getting that comic book graded, signed and graded, you better make sure you have the witness with you beforehand, because if you go and get it signed and then go walking over to the witnessing table, whether it be CGC or CBCX or someone like that, if you get the signature without the witness there, they're not going to accept your book.
Yeah.
No way. Nothing you can do about it. Nothing. No jumping up and down, screaming, crying, or anything.
You can get you can get a duplicate autograph. You can have them.
Well,
yeah.
what you could do is you could go buy a fresh copy of that book and go and take the witness and get it signed. Yes, but kind of hard to do when you sit there and you have $1,000 book sitting in front of you.
No, but I mean, what if you just have them re-sign it again? Have like you'll have the autograph and then you.
He could re-sign it, though it would, it's depending on who the artist is. It's near impossible for them to literally sign over their own autograph.
No, but like let's say okay, let's
But
say
if
it's like a
so
second.
if they sign it here without the witness, then they're going to sign it here. The problem is, from a grading viewpoint, that's going to count against the grade.
Oh, really?
Yes, because the first signature, which is unwitnessed, is now considered a blemish on the cover.
That's what. Okay, that makes sense.
Considered a blemish on the cover. So,
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So,
see, I didn't even know.
like I said, for if you plan on getting your book signed and graded, make sure you have the witness with you first. Go visit whoever is the facilitator, whether, like I said, depending on whether it's CGC or CBCS. Visit those booths, talk to them first before you get your stuff signed. That way you're not going to be heartbroken. Because trust me, I see a lot of people making that mistake, and a lot of people end up getting heartbroken because they did not bother to check out what was going on first.
Yeah.
So, as far as celebrities are concerned, again, they're there, remember this, they're there to make money. Everyone's there to make money. So, to sit there and say, oh, can I get this for free? Come on, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There's another 1,000 huge fans that are standing there as well. When you say to someone you're their biggest fan,
they've heard that.
So is the guy behind you and behind that person, behind that person.
Yep.
And I can tell you with Stan Lee, I can't tell you how many times I heard this, but a fan would walk up to Stan and say, Stan, I'm your biggest fan. And sure enough, Stan would look at him and say, no, you're my second biggest fan because I'm my biggest fan. And he was serious.
Yeah.
He was serious.
Oh, yeah.
He was his biggest fan. So, again, be considerate, be polite.
Yep.
Creators and celebrities will recognize that and appreciate that more. And believe it or not, if you're polite to them, they're more likely to want to do something extra for you. But don't expect it. But they're more likely to want to do something extra if you're nice and polite to them. You may even walk up and say, "Hey, can I get you a bottle of water or something?" If you happen to have an extra bottle with you, can I offer you a bottle of water as long as it's unopened? If it's open, they can take it.
It's like, hey, this is my water, but I'm willing to give it to you if you need it.
But no, like I said, I've seen fans walk up to creators. I was with John Amita Jr. in Brazil. And there were fans that were walking up, and they brought gifts. They brought gifts for John, and John was like, "Oh, this is really cool, very appreciative." But at the same time, it kind of, to a certain degree, was a little awkward because it's like now John feels obligated, and so it's kind of, be aware of stuff like that. You're there to have a good time. The creator's there to have a good time, meet their fans, and make money.
Yeah.
And speaking of making money, let's talk about signatures with creators, because this has become a hot topic lately. A lot of people have become very critical of creators charging for signatures. And I'm simply going to put it in this way so that you can understand. Okay, first off, if you're not quite sure how I'm coming about this, I am the handler for several creators. I basically am like a form of their agent, so I'm on their side. I've been on both sides of the table. I've been on the side of the table of the fan. I've been on the side of the table as a handler or an exhibitor, okay? So, where I'm going with this is realize this. These creators are taking time out of their personal schedule to make appearances at these shows. A lot of these creators, and I'll give you an example, John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr. works 6 to 7 days a week at his art table to meet his deadlines. So the problem is if he's not able to work at home, if he's going to a show, that means he's not generating income.
Yep.
And so he has to find a way to replace that income, because he still has his house payment to make, still has food to put on the table, his bills to pay. These people aren't living for free. They have all their expenses like everyone else. And the fact is, you need to respect that they need to make a living. So, when you have creators that sit there and say, hey, I'm charging a couple bucks for a signature, or I'm charging $5 for a signature, or $10 for a signature, be aware that they're doing that because they're taking the time to be there with you, the fans. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having this opportunity.
Yep. At any rate, I agree with everything you said.
That fills up the backpack.
That fills up the backpack.
That fills up the backpack.
But
bring a backpack. It's helpful.
Oh yeah, definitely bring a backpack.
Definitely bring a backpack.
Definitely bring a backpack.
Okay.
Topic number 2. What's your favorite con to attend, and what makes that con different or more special than any other con?
You go first.
Okay, so I've been to several. I've been to the regular ones, like obviously Great American, San Diego, amazing. I've been to several of them, and what I've noticed from all of the ones that I've gone to, and it might not apply to everyone, but there's a very it's basically always the same kind of layout. There's an artist alley, there's celebrities, and then there's the vendors, right? Mm-hmm. So from a standpoint of being a fan showing up, it's almost always very similar, right? There's nothing that really sticks out. But I think obviously San Diego is going to stick out over all of them because not only do they have those 3 main parts, you have Hall H, with all the celebrities that are dropping trailers that you won't see online for like the next 6 months. You have the Gaslamp District that's all filled with all kinds of interactive and San Diego Comic-Con themed events.
Yeah, San Diego used to be confined to the convention center, and it's been the last couple of years that it literally, what's gone on in the convention center has literally spilled out into, like you said, the Gaslight District.
Yeah.
Where you now have vendors that are setting up in that area. Instead of being in the convention center, they're now out in the area among the downtown district that's right there, which is it's amazing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So, I mean, again, San Diego's got everything. I personally, I don't like the Hall H stuff. While I would love to go and just check one of those out, I see those lines. Like, I see people lining up the night before and sitting in the lines, and I'm like, I'm
Hall H lineup starts 24 hours in advance. Yes,
I do not want to sit in that line.
Yeah.
Like, especially being in the booth with you guys. Like, I'm already working that day. Like, it's not. It's like I would rather be there working at the booth than sitting in the line. Not doing anything. Right.
Yeah.
What if I'm by myself and I have to go to the bathroom? What do I do? Hey, can you hold my place in line? Yeah, okay.
50-50 chance, roll the dice.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, there's stuff there that I wouldn't do. Oh, and then on top of that, if you go across the bridge toward, that bridge that's there on...
Coronado?
No, that small walkway bridge that crosses the street from
it goes over to the ballpark.
Yeah. To the ballpark. There's a lot that's on that side that has all kinds of stuff there, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, San Diego they just added a bunch. I mean, like, I would love to check out, like, C2E2. That's what, Chicago, right? I would love to...
New York.
New York is another one. I don't know how those are. Like, are those...
They have not spilled out like San Diego has. They fill the convention centers. There's no doubt about that. C2E2 does not use the complete McCormick Place Convention Center.
Oh, because McCormick's is huge.
Huge location. New York Comic Con, it uses most of the whole convention center, not quite all of it, but some of the stuff. There's some of the space that is what's called downstairs that is not necessarily used, or at least not used for the general public. But I can tell you this, that they have, for the last couple of years, what used to be Artist Alley got torn down, and they're now building it, and it's that area is huge from what I've seen. I've driven past it a couple of times now over the last year, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like, oh my Lord. It's going to be interesting how that expands the convention center facility because you're dealing with New York, you're dealing with a very finite amount of space.
Yeah.
That convention center only has so much space it can grow. So it's pretty much gone any way it can in this direction, which means the only way it can go is either up or down, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, but it's New York's a whole different animal. New York's a different animal than San Diego. I mean, first off, just the people in itself. You realize that San Diego, tickets are very, very difficult to get into San Diego, and it can get expensive too. There are people that, even though San Diego Comic-Con frowns on this, there are still people who sell tickets online, and I've heard stories of people scalping tickets for $1,000.
I don't doubt it.
You know, and San Diego's doing what they can to stop that.
Yeah.
New York is now getting to the point where they actually are running out of tickets as well. It used to be that you could buy a ticket the day of the show and still get in. Now, no. Pretty much they start selling out by August, September is when they sell out.
What about Emerald City? I've heard a lot about that one.
Emerald City has grown into an interesting show as well. Emerald City is part of the Reed family. Reed is who puts on New York Comic Con, C2E2, Emerald City.
Oh, okay.
Several other shows. So it's Emerald City. You know, I remember back in 2010 when I went to Emerald City. That's when we took Stan, and at that time it was all on one level.
Yeah.
It's now on multiple levels. It's on like 2 or 3 different levels. And not only that, but they use the convention space of the Hyatt, which is adjacent to the convention center, for like some of their celebrity signings and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So what about you? Would you say is your favorite con?
Well,
I know you've been to a million of them.
No, I know. You know, it really depends. First off, I had my eyes opened, as I would say, when I went to a show in Brazil back in December. We were there with John Romita Jr., Joe Rubenstein, Scott Lobdell. That's who we brought into the show. I met the promoter through an associate, and we had booked the guys into that show, and we weren't quite sure what to expect. And I just remember when John and I walked onto the show floor for the first time. We walked in, and I'm not joking, we walked probably 50 yards onto the floor. 50 yards. And we still could not see the end of the convention hall.
Yeah.
We could not see the end of the convention hall. And we're looking around, and we looked at each other, and we went, oh my God. We were both floored. We were both just amazed. And you're talking about 2 people who have been around the con industry for a while.
Yeah.
First off, fan-wise, just to give you perspective, San Diego, about 150 to 170,000 fans. New York is now getting up to the 150, 170,000. Sao Paulo, Brazil, 230,000 fans.
That's insane.
And this was only their 5th year. 5th year. And they've already exceeded by, what is that? I want to say 30, 40%.
That's
what San Diego and New York does.
Nuts.
And the booths are just absolutely unbelievable. As I was walking around, I basically said, this is what San Diego and New York should be aspiring to be. You know. But let's now go the other direction. A show like that can be absolutely overwhelming because you talk about sensory overload. It's not even funny. I actually sometimes get just as much fun going to a small show that has a great guest lineup, and I'm able to spend some quality time with creators, talking about stuff, talking about books, talking about stories, talking about their art and everything.
Well, a lot of those smaller cons are no frills cons, right? I mean, they're basically
they don't have celebrity guests. They basically what they have is they're bringing in, for the most part, they're bringing in a guest list of 10 to 12 known published arts You will have some people buying artist alley tables. Other than that, you have exhibitors.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of those exhibitors are going to be your local guys. And I would say one of the ones that's actually becoming a fun show, a fun show for us to go to, that's kind of in this category is the North Texas show, which actually comes up in a couple of weeks. You look at the guest lineup, and they have a bunch. You have Jim Shooter coming in. You have Mark Bagley coming in. I know we were there back in. They do 2 shows a year. They did one in February, and you had Al Milgram, you had Keith Pollard, you had a lot of these are old school guys. It's not like they're going to have a lot of the new people, which you're going to find at bigger shows. These are the old school guys. These shows are appealing to basically what would be the old school comic collectors.
Yeah.
The guys who are going to bring in, the stuff that they collected back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to get signed by these creators. So, I'd say, probably the North Texas show is turning into to be one of my small show favorites. As far as the big show, CCXP, which is São Paulo, Brazil, I'm looking forward to going back.
I definitely want to go.
It's one of those. It's one of those to experience. So not something you're gonna be able to go to every year. Fortunately, in my case, I'm going back because we're going back with John Jr.
Yep.
And we have a couple other guests that we're booking in. But it's an experience. If you have a chance, if you're on Facebook, go on Facebook, look up CCXP, Charlie X-Ray Peter, and check out their Facebook page. They have some videos that will just blow your mind. It's unbelievable.
Insane. Okay, let's move on to our last topic, and you're gonna have to get ready for this because there's information that you know about that I don't know about. So, topic number 3: rumors for DC TV buyout. What could happen for shows and movies on the platform?
Okay, so what's going on is for, I want to say, what's been probably close to a year now, you've had a buyout of AT&T buying out Time Warner, who owns DC Comics, DC Entertainment. And this buyout has been stuck in the Justice Department because there was concerns of, what do you call it? Monopoly and stuff like that. So basically, apparently, that's now all getting resolved. Now, just so you know, this buyout is over $80 billion. That's billion with a B.
With the B.
With it happening, there's a lot of chatter of a bunch of reorganization. I know DC recently went through some changes internally where they had some of their higher up executives, not necessarily talent people per se, but other people that pretty much were let go. So whether it was in the sales department, whether it was in the advertising department, and that part of that was a shakeup taking place at Time Warner. But now with the chatter of AT&T finalizing this, there's now talk, because for those of you that don't know, DC started a subscription service. They started a subscription service where you're able to watch all kinds of DC content. And as an example, one of the things that's supposed to be coming up real soon, I think it may have already happened, I'm not sure, is Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of excitement about Swamp Thing, and then it was just announced the other day that Swamp Thing basically got cut. They originally were supposed to have 13 episodes. It got cut back to 10 episodes, and then it was announced that there will be no season 2. That Swamp Thing will not be picked up for another season, and part of that is because of the chatter of the possibility of the subscription service having major changes, maybe even being canceled altogether, because I would assume AT&T probably has their own stuff in place,
Yeah.
their own platforms.
Well, what I heard, as far as Swamp Thing's concerned, I heard that the execs felt that it wasn't good enough. Which is kind of mind-boggling to me, considering that there was so much good. I mean, obviously it hasn't been out yet, but there's people that were reacting to the trailer saying, "Oh my God, this looks amazing! I can't wait till this comes out." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then somebody high up on the ladder just said,
That's right, up high. And that's part of what's happening is that you have these high up executives who are not familiar with the comic book industry, not familiar with the entertainment industry as far as comic characters are concerned, and they're making decisions without having the true understanding of what the dynamics are within the industry. And so I think that's going to be a very uncomfortable situation to be in. Honestly, I'd hate to work at Disney not Disney, I'd hate to work at DC right now, not knowing what's going to happen. One of the other things that I've heard through the rumor mill was the fact that they would stop printing paper books.
I heard that too. I think we brought that up in one of our older
that
shows,
they would stop printing paper books, which means everything is going to be subscription-based, electronic media. Which then the question is, okay, what happens to all the comic book stores? You know, now you're talking about places like Barnes and Noble losing a fair amount of stock because Barnes and Noble does what? They sell paper products, books, and not having trade paperbacks, not having stuff like that to sell, it's going to have an effect. But the thousands and thousands of comic book stores all across the country, or even around the world for that matter, how that would, I mean, let's face it, you lose the paper product, and there's, to a certain degree, now it turns from a comic book store into an antique store, because what you're selling old books. Old as in 2000, 2010. Going back to the 60s, 50s, 40s, etc. But the point is, no new product.
Yeah, that's too much for me, man. Like, I just think the comic book medium is just one of those mediums that you just can't stray away from what it is, right? To convert it to digital, like Stanley said, it's like.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know if I can even say that, but basically, like, it's one of those things that you just want to have that copy.
There's
in your hand.
something about having the feel of the paper in your hands, the smell of the ink of a freshly printed book, the smell of the ink in your nose. There's a thing. There's an exhilaration to that. Let's face it, our body reacts to senses. Our body reacts to senses, and if there's no sensory stimulation, other than, okay, with digital, what do? You see it. That's it. That's all. You see it
or hear it.
You don't smell it. You don't feel it. You don't hear it. I mean, a comic book, you sit there and shake it in your hands and make noise. Point is, the turning of the page.
Yeah.
The sound of the turning of the page,
Well, I think the closest correlation between that and another medium would be music. Because remember, we started out with vinyl.
Yeah.
Then with the cassette, or 8-track, the cassette. And then we started going into CDs. And now it's just purely digital. But I think the difference between the two...
But you still see CDs being made, though.
Yeah. But my point being is that the difference between the two mediums is that I think with music and vinyl, the fans of that medium are not as rabid or as into it as fans of comic books, right? I mean, there are people that love to dig for vinyl and all that good stuff. Being as that I know a lot of DJs, that's a thing, right? But it's not like a comic book fan where there's like just millions of them around the world that just have to have their boxes, have to have all.
Yeah.
So
again, it's there's something about the feel, the smell, the touch of having a comic book in your hand. something about and some people may not agree with me, but there's something about the musty smell of a book from the 40s or the 50s. You have that in your hand, and how careful you want to be because you realize how old that book is. You know, to sit there and have that in your hand and to sit there and read it and turn the pages versus, okay, I'm going to pull it up on my iPhone. And oh yeah, this is cool. Oh, look at that panel there. Yeah. You know, it's a totally different thing. Totally different.
It's totally different.
So, you know, it's so back to what's going on. You have AT&T that now it looks like all the roadblocks are being removed for them to move forward on the buyout of Time Warner, which in turn is a buyout of DC. And you know, it's going to be interesting the effect it has.
Yeah, I wonder how we can draw that parallel between that AT&T and DC and how Disney bought out Marvel. Like, is there? Can we look at that and say that it's almost like, okay, well, we didn't believe in Disney at first buying out Marvel, but they're doing so well with it, blah blah blah. Do you think that we're going to see the same thing happen with Disney?
Well, okay, but let's look at the comparison of the companies. Who's DC? Who's Disney? What was Disney known for before even getting involved with Marvel? Cartoons, entertainment.
Yeah.
What's AT&T known for?
Cell phones.
Phone service.
Telecommunications.
Can you say they got into entertainment? You don't see a movie up on the screen presented by AT&T, you know, or produced by AT&T or AT&T presents. No, you see Disney presents or presented by Disney. That's where I think there's the difference. Is that Disney by itself as a company in its core was an entertainment company to begin with. AT&T isn't. AT&T, to me, this is simply a money buyout. This is simply a money buyout. Disney wanted more content. Disney wanted more content, recognized the capability of the content within the comic book industry, being that you look at their cartoons translate to comics, so it was an easy decision for them to make. So I think trying to compare the two, apples and oranges. Apples and oranges, absolutely.
Gotcha. I agree. And with that being said, that is our top 3 topics of the day, guys. So when we get back, we're going to wrap this show up. Stick around! So yeah, like I said earlier, this weekend is the Las Vegas amazing Las Vegas Comic Con. And then you're going to be in.
We're going to be in the Washington State Summer Con, and then there's also Heroes Con taking place over in North Carolina.
Gotcha. So if you guys are in town, and if you're in the Las Vegas area, if you guys go there Saturday, we are going to try to break the record. That meaning me, Free, and a bunch of other of our peers. We're going to try to break the Guinness Book of World Records production of a single book. I think the last record was 11 hours, 15 minutes, 38
Who's printing it?
I don't know. I don't know how they did
Who's
it last time.
putting it all together?
It's the same, so the same people that did it last time are doing it again. So they're going to try and break their own record. So
Gotcha.
I had the honor of getting invited to this thing. So guys, if you guys are in Saturday,
Come out and watch them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So
if you happen to be up in the Seattle, Washington area, come
see
on
this
out
guy.
and say hi. And we'd love to see you out there.
On top of that, if you guys happen to be by my table, and this was suggested by Megan, it's like bring stuff that you're working on. So, a buddy of mine, Jeff Pina, who's out of I think Arizona, he does this thing where obviously we do the commissions of like the little 11x17 sketches, or whatever, sketchbook stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He does these things where puts them in the sleeve, and I'll show you guys in a second. He puts them in a little plastic sleeve like this, individual, personalized art. Puts them up for sale. And does a good thing. So, here are some of them. Give these to you.
Yeah.
Check that out. And then you can see here, I don't know if this is going to be right side up, but these are all unfinished. I got to finish these up tonight.
Yeah.
Here, Spider-Man.
Yeah. Here you have Wolverine, you have Batman, you have Captain America. Here's one, obviously it's not finished.
Not finished.
And you know what? These are cool. These are really cool for fans to be able to pick up because it's inexpensive, yet it's great art.
And it's personalized. Not personalized, but it's original art.
Yeah.
It's not
exactly
printed or anything like that. You got all, pretty much anybody you can ask for. I bought like 50 of these sleeves. So.
Oh, Black Panther. There you go. There's Black Panther. So, yeah, this is something I've seen at shows all over the place, and actually. These are a little bit bigger because I'm used to seeing them on smaller cards, but you can pretty much do any size you want. And, they come, again, you have some of the original pencils there all the way to the colored. Yep. And in this case, it almost looks, to a certain degree, it almost looks like it's painted, though I know it's not painted. But, it depends, you'll have creators that are going to sit there and they're going to give you several different layers of art. Yep. And so it's definitely these are the kind of things that you're going to find usually a lot of the unknown guys because again it's easy for them to make these and you could probably put a stack of these together 50 and you could probably draw these in a couple of nights have a stack of 50 and they're going to sell out at a show.
I did these in about an hour.
Yeah.
And there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 8 of them in here. So, it's gonna be fun. But so yeah. Anyways, guys, amazing Las Vegas Comic Con. I'll be there. Free will be there. A bunch of our guys will be there. And then see this guy in upstate. Where?
I'll be at the Washington State Fairgrounds.
There it is.
In right outside of Seattle, Washington.
There it is. And with that being said, that is it for our show. I'm your man JQ. This is Chandler.
Yo.
And this is Free. And this is Megan. Bye. By the way, Megan. Once again, our hearts go out to you.
We love you, Megan. We understand.
Yep.
We're right here with you.
And that's it for our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Geeked Out, Las Vegas, and we are out. Peace. Guys, it's your man JQ Geeked Out right here on Dubtop Radio. If you want to get more content from us, better make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't know what you're missing.